It has been over 10 years since we have seen a mainstream Elder Scrolls title, and we are sure to wait even longer still. But with that being said, it doesn't stop us as fans to speculate every possible thing we want to see in the Elder Scrolls 6. And what is up, guys? Andrew from the Den here, and today I think it's finally time to take a look at my ideal Elder Scrolls 6 in the province of Hammerfell. This location is definitely at the top of a lot of people's lists that we want to be seeing next, but that doesn't mean it is confirmed just yet. We have a lot of hints towards it being the next province, but at the end of the day, take everything I say with a grain of salt. There is a lot to go over today, so get comfy, grab that bottle of Hunting Brew mead, and let's get right into the video. Starting off, we have to take a look at the geography of Hammerfell itself. Now, we have visited the desert-like province before in a past Elder Scrolls title, but that doesn't mean we won't see it soon. The last time we saw this location in a good amount was all the way back in Redguard, which came out in 1998. So that doesn't rule the province out entirely. Better graphics for the Elder Scrolls 6 will make it seem like its own thing, even if we have seen it before. Now, the geography itself isn't as cut and dry as people might think. I bet when someone says Hammerfell, you instantly think of dry, arid lands in a desert environment. I can say with certainty there is more to it than just a large desert. Take a look at this concept art from the Elder Scrolls Online and you will instantly understand what I mean. Alongside the dry lands, there are many jungles scattered across the environment to give it that tropical feel. Closer to the southeastern border of Hammerfell, there are fertile grasslands similar to that of the Gold Coast and Cyrodiil. The Colovian Highlands also lie along the southeastern border, which is a desolate area that separates the provinces of Hammerfell and Cyrodiil. Along the northern border is a mountain range known as the Dragon Tail Mountains, home to many orc tribes. Hammerfell is bordered by High Rock to the north, home of the Bretons, Skyrim to the northeast, home of the Nords, and Cyrodiil to the southeast, home of the Imperials. The main inhabitants of the province are that of the Redguard. They come from the sunken continent of Yokuda to the west and are adept in the way of the sword. They have become renowned fighters across Tamriel and have great agility. Hammerfell is home to a wide variety of environments and has a lot of notable regions. These include Southern Bankerai, Craglorn, Kefram, Sunforge, the Chain, Stros Makai, and of course, the Great Alakir Desert. Let's take a quick look at the individual regions themselves and what we will be seeing from them in a game set in Hammerfell. Our first region we need to talk about is that of Southern Bankerai, also known as the Fallen Waste, for good reason. The land here is said to be dry and surrounded by vast desert areas. There are some rivers lining the region, but most of the environment consists of rocky desert formations. Bankerai is significant to both High Rock and Hammerfell, with the Bankerai Pass separating the two provinces. This garrison has been used for generations by the Bretons to stop Redguard invaders from entering High Rock. It would be interesting to see how they bring it into the Elder Scrolls 6 with a high likelihood of a major questline within the area. If we could see an invasion of High Rock from the side of Hammerfell, it would no doubt be a worthwhile experience. That doesn't mean that we would be seeing two fully realized provinces in one game, but one quest that takes place within a sectioned off area in High Rock would be interesting to see. There's also a major city within the region of Southern Bankerai with Holland's Stand. It is similar in architecture with that of the great city of Sentinel. We would no doubt be seeing more Breton influence in Holland's Stand, with it being on the border of High Rock. Even though geographically it is not one of the more diverse regions, there are still plenty of other areas where it succeeds at. We could see a number of different scenarios play out within the Fallen Waste, and it would for sure be interesting to see what Bethesda comes up with. Craglorn is a region that lies to the northeast of Hammerfell. It borders Bankride to the west, Skyrim to the northeast, and Cyrodiil to the southeast, just to give you a representation of where it lands on the map. There are two main cities in Craglorn, Dragonstar and Ellenhere, both with plenty of diversity. At the time of Skyrim, Dragonstar can be described as more of a cosmopolitan compared to the rest of the province. Then there is Ellenhere, which is also known as the City of Mages. Once a Need settlement, now the capital of Craglorn, the Great City is the seat of power in the region. Now that we got through the major cities, what makes Craglorn so unique is that it is split up into two separate lands. We have Lower Craglorn, which is pretty similar to what you would expect in Hammerfell, with dry badlands and windswept plains. Then we have Upper Craglorn, which is more akin to that of the Reach in Skyrim. A place very rugged and mountainous, which definitely brings a lot of diversity to the location. I'd definitely like to see them go all out in Craglorn because it could for sure be something special. The southernmost region of Hammerfell lies the coastal paradise of Kefrim. The Alakir Desert sits right above it with the peninsula of Hughesbane within the region also. The two major cities in Kefrim are Ghislaine and Abaz Landing. You can really see the difference in this location compared to others in Hammerfell just by the cities alone. First is Abaz Landing, which can be described as the center of thieving in the province. The city streets are filled with thieves and scum alike, all looking to make some quick coin. Probably the most interesting area within Abaz Landing is that of the flooding district. It is home to the city's slums, and the residents live higher up off the ground to stay away from the crocodile-infested area. If we could see something like this in-game, it would no doubt be a fan-favorite city because of how different it is compared to the others. Then there is Ghislaine, which is one of the major political powers in Hammerfell. The port city was once home to Sephiroth Septim, who stopped the Wolf Queen from gaining power in the War of the Red Diamond. For those who played through the Wolf Queen Awakens quest in Solitude, Ghislaine would be a nice callback to the Elder Scrolls V. During the time of Skyrim, Kefrim is still devastated from the Great War when the Aldemary Dominion took most of the tropical region. Eventually, the Red Guards of Hammerfell took back their land and are now looking to rebuild the damage. This would bring an interesting storyline of a war-torn landscape and a big difference from the rest of the province. Kefrim would no doubt be an interesting region to explore from its diverse landscape and the culture that surrounds the area. Probably the most significant region in Hammerfell is that of the Alakir Desert. When people think of Hammerfell, they think of vast deserts, sand-swept areas, and little watering holes. That is because of the Alakir Desert being such an important location within the province. Situated on the western side of the province, it sits right on the Iliac Bay, with it bordering Bankride to the east. This is not just a normal desert though. It has been stated many times of the magical nature of the Alakir. The sands of the Great Desert always seem to be constantly shifting, with an enormous red mist rising up from the ground in the morning with it disappearing around noon. There is even more though, with travelers reportedly not even knowing where they are once they enter the Alakir. The main city is that of Sentinel, which is the capital of the province. It overlooks the Iliac Bay, with it being one of the more hospitable locations within the desert. That doesn't mean that many people live within its walls, because the region itself is so harsh. There are also plenty of Breton nobles who travel to Sentinel for somewhat of a vacation. On the southernmost point of the desert lies the former capital of Hammerfell with Hegaith. Similar in design to Sentinel, the city is a refuge for crowns and forebears alike. We will get into the political domain of Hammerfell in a little bit. For now though, just know that they have been enemies with each other for generations. The Alakir Desert has a lot of different unique aspects that you will not find anywhere else, and if Bethesda can do it right, it will be one of the most distinctive regions we have ever seen in an Elder Scrolls game. The centralmost region in Hammerfell is that of Sunforge. It is landlocked, bordered by that of Bankerai to the west and Craglorn to the east. The geography of the surrounding area is similar to that of the Fallen Waste, with arid lands and rocky desert formations. Sunforge was once home to an ancient race of man known as the Ket Keptu. Even though they lived during the Merethic and early First Era, they were still far from primitive because they were able to refine ores when other races could not. The main city in Sunforge is known as Skaven, which is one of the major areas of refuge in the province. One of their main exports is bat cheese, which is produced from scav bats who live in a cave just outside of the city. Another major settlement in Sunforge is that of Verkarth, once known as an unholy city because it housed vampires and werewolves alike. Since then, it has reshaped its image from its saviors of the Elysian Empire. There are plenty of architectural designs similar to the Elysian era, with hints of Redguard influence making its way into its walls. The distinct cities give the region a unique feel to it, even if the environment is similar to most of Hammerfell. Just from the cities alone though, it would be interesting to see more of Sunforge in the Elder Scrolls 6. Next up is a set of islands off the coast of Hammerfell known as the Chain. They are considered to be a part of the province of Hammerfell and share some of its features. A lot of the environments is similar with large desert areas and some rock formations. There are 3 main islands in the Chain, each being very closely related with one another. On one of the islands though sits a dormant volcano with carved rooms which were used as some type of prison. The Chain is known for pirating and could give way to some interesting features. If we were able to see this archipelago in the Elder Scrolls 6, we might even get the chance to sail our own boats. With sets of islands to explore along the coast of Hammerfell, it would be a great way to traverse the ocean around the province. This would actually be a great way to introduce boats as a system of travel, with a lot of potential to it. This would certainly be a great feature to have, and one that we could possibly see sometime in the future. The final region on our list is the island of Stros Mackay. Even though this is not a main location in Hammerfell, the history surrounding it makes it highly likely that we would be seeing it in-game. The former capital of the province has a lot going for it that makes it so unique. For one thing, it is an island right off the mainland, which makes it even more likely. It also would be a great way to add boats as a way for traversing the area, just like horses are on land. This would give an incentive to using boats in a different way instead of just a fast travel boat, and would definitely be interesting to see. There is also one major city on the island with Port Hunding, this one being split up by large ravines that keep the palace from the main city. Most of the environment is sand dunes with a mountain range towards the western side of the island. It would definitely be an interesting place to travel, and hopefully we will see it in the Elder Scrolls 6. As you can see, the geography surrounding Hammerfell is very unique. Even though a lot of the environment is desert-like, there is so much to see and do within the province. In comparison to Skyrim with its snowy areas and high mountains, it would be a nice contrast to what we saw in the Elder Scrolls 5. A more tropical location with sprawling deserts is exactly what we could be seeing in the Elder Scrolls 6, so be ready for that. Next up on our list, we have to discuss the creatures we would be seeing in Hammerfell. The dry and arid lands of the province are home to many fierce creatures, so let's talk about what we could be seeing from them in the Elder Scrolls 6. First one up is a staple of the desert environment with the Dune Ripper. They are large carnivorous creatures that ambush their prey from the sands below. They can grow to the size of 3 horses, and when traveling the Alakir Desert, always keep an eye out for a fin in the ground, because that's when the Dune Ripper will begin its attack. Camels are known to travel the province and are basically the horses of Hammerfell. It would be interesting to see if we would be able to ride them in a game set in the dunes of Hammerfell. Assassin beetles can be found throughout the Alakir Desert and were once house pets of the Yokudan Empire. Now these bugs grow to monstrous sizes and should be steered clear from now on. Giant scorpions are also inhabitants of Hammerfell with paralyzing stings. These creatures should be given great caution to avoid an untimely demise. You will also find a few normal animals scattered throughout the area, from lions, crocodiles, jackals, and foxes, with them adapted to the extreme heat of the desert environment. Farther north in the Bankarai region, there are giant wasp and lamias. Giant wasps are much larger than the normal ones you will find throughout Tamriel and are more aggressive. They are known to sting anything that doesn't smell like them, and their outer shell is said to be very durable. Lamias are serpent-like beast folk that can be found throughout caves and abandoned ruins in the fallen waste. With the tail of a snake and the torso of a female, do not mistake them to be friendly just from them being able to speak Tamrielic, because they are known to be quite vicious. In cooler climates such as Craglorn, you will find many different types of creatures, including Welwa and Daggerbacks. The Welwa are large, four-eyed beasts that hunt in packs. In the past, orcs domesticated them and used them as war beasts. Similar to the Dune Rippers in the Alakir, Dune Racers can be found in the Craglorn region. Dune Racers have more of a scaly back compared to its relative and are known to be very aggressive. Daggerbacks are boar-like creatures with quills found on their backs. At times, they can be quite aggressive, but mostly stick to themselves unless provoked. Fell runners are flightless birds found throughout Hammerfell and are found in the desert regions. They are harmless and because of that are often hunted by the Redguard nomads. Closer to the western border, you will find many reptilian creatures like the Claw Runner and Bounder. Claw Runners are relatives with both Wickeders and Bounders and are said to have the ability to paralyze its opponents. Bounders are similar to the other reptilian creatures of the area, with armor scales lining its back for protection against attack. Then there are also worm mouths, which are related to Gwars and Alets and are native to Hammerfell. They have large mouths and 2 legs, which make it look like they are just a mouth on legs. There are also Wickeders, which look very similar to its relatives like the Claw Runner and Bounder. For some reason though, the area around its mouth resembles that of a smiling face. As you can see, there are a lot of different creatures that we would be seeing in Hammerfell. There are also varieties of different species that could make an appearance that would make the Elder Scrolls 6 even better. We could be seeing a lot of distinct things happen, and hopefully Bethesda takes a deep look into the creatures of the province, because it could be some of the best we have ever seen. Hammerfell has a lot of diverse races within it, and we would be seeing all of them in some way if we were to get a game within the province. Each one of them has a rich culture, so let's take a look at the different races we will be seeing. First up, we can't talk about Hammerfell without talking about the Redguards. They originally came from the sunken continent of Yokuda and are built for the harsh environment of Hammerfell. Redguards are adept in battle and even have a strong resistance to poison. There are 2 distinct factions in Hammerfell, with the Crowns and the Forebears. Each of them vie for control of the province and are divided within. The Crowns seek to retain the ways of the ancient Yokudan Empire, while the Forebears are open to outside influence like the Imperials or Bretons. Until recently, they have been at each other's throats. It took a Thalmor invasion to bring together the 2 factions to fight them back to the Somerset Isles. Currently, the Crowns and Forebears have ended the feud and are working together to rebuild the devastated province. There is more than one race that has called Hammerfell its home though, with the Dwemer having a major influence within the region. Currently, most of their cities are being used as modern settlements except for a few outliers like Volenfell and Dwarfholm. The Aliads also had somewhat of an influence on Hammerfell, with scattered ruins about. There aren't many in the province, but a few of note are Salas N and the Nalata ruins. Orcs can be found throughout the Dragontail Mountains and have had many problems with the Redguards of Hammerfell. It is believed that the orc capital of Orsinium has been rebuilt in the Dragontail Mountains along the border of Skyrim and could make an appearance in a game set in Hammerfell. Towards the Craglorn region, Needs had large settlements such as Ellenhere before they were wiped out by the Regatta, which were the warriors of Yokuda. All that's left of them is ruins and scattered buildings within Hammerfell's modern cities. We would also have influence from all the other races of Tamriel, like the Bretons and Imperials, with a variety of them being scattered throughout the province. There would be instances where we would be seeing more Bretons closer to the border of High Rock and more Imperials on the border of Cyrodiil, but for the most part, they would be dispersed throughout. Hammerfell as a whole has a lot going for it, but one of the best things about it is quest potential. Quests in the Elder Scrolls series are why we play the game, and we have seen plenty of unique ones that everyone can enjoy. I believe a game set in Hammerfell can give everyone what they want when it comes to quests, starting off with the main storyline. Realistically, at this time, we have no idea what direction Bethesda will take us in, but we can certainly theorize on what is to come. When it comes to main quest lines, they have always been grand in scale with major consequences for the whole of Tamriel, like with the dragons in Skyrim or the Oblivion Crisis in Cyrodiil. This time, I'd actually like them to take a step back and maybe have a more focused storyline. In lore, a big part of Hammerfell is the Sword Singers, which are now thought to be extinct. What if we saw their return and the player became one of them? Sword Singers, or Ansai, were said to be able to manifest a spirit sword from their own soul. This would be an amazing ability to have and could be similar to that of the Dragonborn in Skyrim. I think it would be interesting to see a story focused on the return of the Sword Singers and the player learning how to master their new skills. Of course, it would need to be more in-depth than just this, but with the game set in Hammerfell, we would need to see something on the legendary Sword Singers. What do you guys think the main quest in Hammerfell should be? Drop a comment letting me know what you want to see in the comments section below. Moving on from the main quest, a very interesting story they could tell is something that they tried to do in the Elder Scrolls V. In Skyrim, we had the civil war between the Stormcloaks and Empire, and during it all, we heard tales of a great war between the Aldmeri Dominion and Empire. We saw plenty of hints pointing towards a second great war, and there would be no better place than Hammerfell. The province lands right in the middle between the lands of the Aldmeri Dominion and Empire. I'd say only Valenwood would be a better option, and not by much. Hammerfell would be a great place to draw the main conflict of the Second Great War with how much the Redguards hate the Thalmor. This doesn't mean that they would help the Empire either, because the Emperor still tried to give up parts of Hammerfell to the Elves. It is possible though that the Thalmor try to invade Hammerfell again, and the Empire is brought in to fight them back. The Redguards would be caught right in the middle of the action and could be an interesting storyline to see. Another possibility is to see a few quests surrounding the Orcs of Orsinium. There are rumors that the Orc capital was moved to the Dragontail Mountains, which lies in Hammerfell. I don't think that we would see anything too major, but maybe a short quest line and a couple of side quests within Orsinium to fill out the area. Probably the most interesting aspect of Hammerfell is the political side to it with the Crowns and the Forebears. Even though they're in a momentary peace to help the devastated Hammerfell, just looking at the past, this will not last long. They have been fighting for generations, and if we do see a game set in Hammerfell, an intriguing side plot would be the conflict between the Crowns and the Forebears. It might not be as good as the politics of High Rock just because the Bretons are so similar to something like Game of Thrones. That doesn't mean we wouldn't see a great story of deceit, battles, and conspiracies, because that is exactly what we could be seeing in a game set in Hammerfell. When taking a look at Skyrim, dragons were a main aspect of the game, and I would like to see them return in some way in the Elder Scrolls VI. Hammerfell is set right next to the Northern Province, and would be a perfect place to see dragons return. I wouldn't want it like Skyrim though, with dragons coming out of nowhere all the time. I'd like to have a more memorable experience this time, with the possibility of a dragon hunt or something similar. We should only be seeing 1 or 2 dragons at most, because they should not be a main focus for the Elder Scrolls 6 as well. Just a fun side quest to look back at Skyrim would be a great addition to the game and something fans would love to see. There is a lot of potential when it comes to quests in Hammerfell, from the possibility of a second Great War or the reemergence of sword singers to Tamriel. We could be seeing a lot of different things happen for the Elder Scrolls 6, and a game set in the desert waste of Hammerfell would be amazing for quests. The final topic I'd like to discuss with you all is the likelihood that we will be seeing Hammerfell as the next location. There's actually a strong chance that this will be the next province, just from what we saw in the teaser trailer. The area that was shown off was very similar to that of Hammerfell, and that is what makes people believe that it will be the next province we will be seeing. Red Guards are also a human race, which will draw in a larger audience than an alien one like the Argonians, so that is also in its favor. I'd say the only downside is the geography of Hammerfell. Not that it is bad diversity-wise, the fact is though there are just better locations when it comes to the environment. Places like Elsewhere have it all with jungle and desert, and are better diversity-wise overall. That doesn't mean that Hammerfell could not be a great game when it comes to the geography. I just think that there are better locations out there. I think the best case scenario would be a combination of High Rock and Hammerfell, even though it is unlikely we will be seeing 2 provinces in one game. It has never been done before, and I believe they will stick to having 1 province per game. As a whole, Hammerfell could be a very interesting location. From the Great Alakir Desert to the rocky region of Craglorn, there is a lot to look forward to when it comes to this specific province. We still have a little ways to go, with Starfield being the next game coming out from Bethesda, but that doesn't stop us as fans from speculating on what we want to be seeing in the Elder Scrolls 6. But that is all for me now though, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment any videos you want to see in the future, and I'll see you all next time.